The Seeds of Maya, Chapter 1. We used to have friends, but they have fled or been killed. It is nothing new, but I don't understand it at all. Nightfall signals the curfew. The alarms ring and our families scurry home, summoned to rusted metal tins in which fire is conjured and cajoled into cooperation. Mama says the government steals electricity from us. Our patrollers die every day, reliant upon the reflective power of the moon and a few battery-operated flashlights, pitting naked human limitations against the soldiers, the killers, the demons. It's absurd. I don't understand it. We have nothing of any value to the government. Dud's heard them before I did. He always did. He's a good boy. I pushed the fluff back into his ear with 2 fingers, tucking it in as the last curls crawled into their sanctuary. I laid him on my bed, lifting up some of the loose filling and squeezing him into the cavities of the mattress. One of his feet snagged on a spring, the rusted metal wire flaking off onto his fur. I whimpered for him, but he won't mind. I'll have to give him a bath to make up for it. I promised him some bubbles, my whisper being soaked up by the rustling foliage outside as I left him buried alive. I heard my mother whispering my name. "Maya, Maya, put that bear away and get in here, now." I crawled through the tunnel that separated my small alcove from the rest of the building. In reality, it was just an understair cupboard inside the flat next to ours. No one went in there. It had an X on the front door. I peeped out. "Mama!" "I know, put the rock." She jutted a finger at a small... In a vain attempt at preservation. I rolled it over. Loose crumbs of stone cracked, subdued under superior weight. "I will go. You stay in the corner." As soon as the door was closed, I tiptoed across the barren floor, the soles of my feet arching away from the cold concrete, my ear pressed against the wood as I strained to decipher my mother's voice, the splinters catching it and wrenching it from my grasp. I heard some footsteps, so I hustled back to the far corner of the room. Mother barged the door open, the handle sinking into an alcove in the plasterboard. Evidence of my mother's temper, which had given her at least a small amount of local notoriety. Room. Mother barged the door open, the handle seeking into the plasterboard, evidence of my mother's temper which had given her at least a small amount of local notoriety. "Utra, we have to give them the seed. It is what they want, and keeping it here is doing no one any good, is it?" My mother scowled at the man. He looked familiar. Maybe he was a friend of my father's. Possibly. No, I don't think he was. But as he mentioned this seed, one of his eyes twitched and his hands began to open and close, their dirty interior flitting into and out of view incessantly. "No." "But you must see, Reckon was a fool to bring it here in the first place, pursued as he was by the soldiers." "It was a blessing to me. It brought me my life back." The man sighed and sucked at his teeth and pulled out a cigarette torn to half-mast. Strands of brown tobacco limped over the serrations of the paper, his shoulder resting on the door-frame. "This is an old argument, Frank, and you know it." "Yes," he replied, lifting up a lighted match, "but we are virtually He dropped the match, and the flame drifted away as it collided against the floor. A spearhead had emerged from his stomach. Dark blood coated the metal. A fragment of Frank's innards hung to the tip, maybe hoping for a reprieve from its banishment. My mother jumped back. I sank into the corner of the room with my back against the wall, prying and pushing and pressing and hoping it would wrap itself around me, hoping it would absorb me, hoping. Frank held out his arm and coughed out my mother's name along with a seasoning of blood, the droplets thick and heavy and unnecessarily red. "Seed," he uttered, and began to raise his arm and point. At what, I couldn't say, because my mother strode forward, her long skirt hitched up, fingers coiled around the knife hilt, her teeth bared in a guttural growl as she thrust the blade into Frank's throat and twisted it and abandoned it inside of him. A memoir to a now silent man. I put my hands over my mouth. They tasted salty. "Never," Utra said, her tone shrouded in a convulsion as she grabbed my arm, rolled the small rock aside and pushed me through into the marked house next door. The Seeds of Maya. End of Chapter 1. This was a Team Clover production.